Okay, and we're back with our 10 of our book, the Isis Thesis. It's our 10 of the Amduat. In the middle register in the symbol and crew and before the two-headed serpent called Thes Hara, curved in a U shape of two connected bull horns. The serpent head wears the red and white crown, with each facing a goddess wearing the same headdress. A large hawk, looking to the right, is centered in the serpent, which stands upon two pairs of human legs, probably one of the most powerful ideograms supporting the result of allolactose bonding to the lac repressor in this large-headed serpent stationed between two goddesses. As mentioned, the protein has bonding sites for both allolactose and the operator sequence of DNA, as evident by its two heads. A large life sign is beneath the serpent head, wearing the red crown of Lower Egypt, suggesting that the headpiece of the lac repressor is bound to the allolactose, as evidenced by the goddess. The lac repressor is a tetrameric protein with 4 polypeptide subunits organized as a dimer of dimers, which this portrays shows by the 4 legs, or rather this portrait. Next is a boat with a full-length serpent on it, representing the long DNA cacotomer produced during rolling circle replication. For males follow, each with a disc in place of a head, suggesting the shape of a spear like an icosahedral phage head. Four men with bows and 4 men with arrows appear, who are responsible for the destruction of the enemies or cell lysis. The sun god takes up his place in the water of this city. The text over the upper register states that this is the circle of Amentet, where Kepra united himself to the form of Ra, and that if a copy is made of these pictures, a man will pass through the Duat. In the upper register is a bearded god at position 1, standing next to the transformation beetle at 2, of Kepra pushing a zone of sand, followed by 2 goddesses without thrones, each with a finger pointed towards her nose. Between the goddesses is a disc supported by 2 serpents and their tails crossed. DNA binding proteins have 4 common motifs: helix turn helix, zinc fingers, basic leucine cibber, helix loop helix, with finger pointing to their noses. We could say that these goddesses represent zinc fingers, which are found in a variety of proteins. Shapiro found that zinc mobilization inhibited bacterial DNA replication during nitrosative stress. Also, zinc is an essential nutrient. The proteins contain zinc-dependent DNA binding domains. For example, the structure of crow protein carboxypeptidase, a chain, requires Zn squared plus 4 catalysts. It is bound to HIS 69, HIS 696, and Glu-72 at the enzyme active site. The zinc ion interacts with the substrate to labelize the peptide bond. Thus, the ideogram of the goddess pointing to their index fingers to their noses may represent the motif of two zinc fingers relative to crow-protein catalysts. The zinc finger domain is formed by the interaction of one or two zinc atoms with regions of protein to produce a structure with the finger pointing into the major groove. The two elongated serpents supporting the solar disk represent the complete product of the bacteriophage synthesis. Next are two goddesses at position 4 and a large axe supporting the solar disk, indicating the end of the cacodoma cleavage stage or cleavage related to phage exit from the cell. Also of the interest in that the goddess are not sitting on the throne or foundations of form, suggesting that the forms disappear or degrade. For example, these two goddesses swallow their own spirit or souls after the deceased sun god passes. Next are 8 goddesses at position 5, each holding a ankh. 4 of the goddesses are lion-headed and 4 are women-headed. They face a baboon god at 6 sitting on its tail rather than a throne. Each god follows 8 gods follow who will destroy enemies, which seems reasonable for the cell is undergoing lithic activities. Of special interest in the first of these 8 gods, Nu, who has a 2-pronged object in place of his head. This same symbol is commonly used today by molecular biologists to indicate divergence. Divergence is usually not a desirable behavior and has been compared to the Lyapunov instability in continuous variable systems. However, if the state space of a system converges to more than one attractor, then there should be some region with the verge, which this god may indicate. Possibly the active replication of numerous phage progeny serve as a multiple attractors. 12 lakes of water. In the lower region is the hawk-headed god Horus at 8, wearing a white disk, followed by 4 lakes of water with the submerged, 4 lakes of water with swimmers, and 4 lakes of water with floaters. Protein fold because of a polarity and hydrophobic effects. Hydrophobic means incapable of dissolving in water. Apparently, our 12 Aquarians do not dissolve in a 12 lake of water. Non-polar amino acids, more are hydrocarbon side chains, tend to be hydrophobic. The hydrophobic effect stabilizes the protein. The text states the swimmers will have dominion over your water. In other words, they represent the stabilizing hydrophobic effect. Following the swimmers are 4 women having a relaxed serpent on their heads. The text states that their forms live by their heads. It is they who shed light upon the road of Ra in the thick darkness, and when he cometh forth into the hall of the east, self waketh up and travelleth on him. These representations of 4 females bonded to 4 serpents suggest allolactose bonded to the lact repressor with resultant lactose production. Once again, the representation of 4 goddesses and 4 serpents suggests the idea of the tetramatic lac protein organized as a dimer of dimers. The last image is a scepter at 13 with the head of Set named Set who wakens. This may indicate the activity of C2 that makes anti-sense crow, but it's more likely that it represents the force of chaos evident in lytic reactions. Text from Ramesses VI. The text states that the name of the gate is She who gives birth to the forms, and the name of the city is She who water is deep, who banks are high. The name of the hour is She who slashes, who decapitates the rebels. Decapitation or protein shell head removal prevents replication of rebel DNA, that is, the human creation. The beetle pushing his egg is called the living beetle. The text referring to the two zinc finger goddesses and two serpents holding the disc states, "These gods are like this. The eastern one comes out of the double entwined one. The western one issues out of the one who fastens. They call to him the souls who are upon earth. They fasten the spirit, which are purified in the netherworld, to this mysterious image which is therein. Then they swallow their form after the great God has passed by them." This textual language may signal the completed product, as zinc fingers represent the protein stage between secondary and tertiary structures. The goddesses are named Crown of the North and Crown of the South, while the serpent is called Double Entwined One, suggesting DNA in the phage tail. The name of the two goddesses with the axe and the disc are the one who lifts up and the one who calls the God, once again suggesting the end of concatemer cleavage. Swallowing forms indicates DNA degradation. The sun god addresses the 8 goddesses and the baboon with the Ujat eye, stating that they will establish the first eye of Horus, which is in the hands of Flesh, who carries his eye. It is you who protect Horus, O you who came to being and create the beings. The 8 goddesses are an obvious reference to the nutrient medium, for without a sufficient lactose level, no recombinant phage progeny are possible, and the first eye of Horus is not established. The text referring to the middle register double-headed serpent on which the hawk stands is, "They are like this as supporters of the serpent of the one who binds the faces." The reference to faces suggests the faces of icosahedral phage heads. Next, the serpent in the boat is named Life of Earth and represents the long DNA concatemer product of rolling circle replication. The text above the serpent is, "He is like this in his boat. He lurks in the complete darkness of this gate of the eastern horizon. He rests in his place every day." This is the serpent, the one who rises of the netherworld, the noble soul of He, the head of the Westerners. Notice, the head of the Westerners is another name for Osiris, who is foremost of the Westerners, and also the phage head product. In the lower register, the text referring to Horus and the drowned ones in the netherworld follows. Horus speaks to the drowned whose faces are overturned in the netherworld, whose backbones are in the flood. He states that they will not choke, for there will be air. You come out of the flood, you fall in your current, you swim in the great inundation, You come to the land at its banks. You, you bodies do not smell of putrefaction. Your flesh is not decomposed. You have power over the water. You breathe, for I have decreed it. You are indeed those who are in the abyss, the drowned ones in the following of my flesh, which carries life for your souls. This description may represent the hydrophilic sugar phosphate groups on DNA, which are composed of the internal bases, sand references, and the external sugar phosphate backbone, the major structural component. Ribose, sugar, and phosphate molecules alternate on the backbone, and they are very polar and hydrophilic or water-loving. Not only does the text use backbone and water terminology, but it names the three groups in the water: the drowned ones in the netherworld, the overturned ones in the netherworld, and the stretched out in the netherworld. These names may indicate DNA position of sugar phosphate groups. Finally, the names of four goddesses with serpents on their heads are she who annihilates, the glowing ones, the stinging ones, the cobra, suggesting the power of lactose nutrient medium. The text states their images live upon their heads, and that these goddesses light the way for Ra in the east. All right, and a shot at the Matrix for hour 10. And we'll be back with hour 11 next time I holler at y'all. Peace, kings. Peace, queens. Holler at y'all later.